Hello, and welcome to Seated Stretching. My name is Dani Ondreka, and I work with Kettering Health Network. And today we're going to go through a few full body stretches to help you relieve tension and just have a little break to get some movement in your day. Many of us throughout the day find that we require a little bit of a break to start moving. Perhaps we are starting to feel some tension if we've been sitting down just working all day. Maybe we're feeling some pain in our lower back. And a lot of times our go-to is that above the head, nice good morning stretch. But there are a few other stretches that can help to be a little bit more effective in relieving that tension and relieving that pain. So a few helpful tips before we start this guided practice today. Always breathe deeply when you are stretching. We want to make sure that when we exhale, we're relaxing. The breath out is a natural guide for your body to release tension. When we breathe in, it's a natural progression to want to sit a little bit taller and elongate your spine. So we want to make sure that we are breathing deeply as we move through each movement. Close your eyes if you're having trouble focusing on a particular stretch or you don't feel like you're feeling it in the right spot. Just closing those eyes kind of takes away all of the things around you that might be distracting. You can really focus and hone in on that one part of your body that needs to feel that stretch a little bit more deeply. Stop immediately if you feel any type of sharp or shooting pain, anything that feels abnormal or out of the ordinary. And you know your body better than anybody else does, so listen to the signals that it's giving you. You also want to make sure you're taking your time. So each stretch requires at least 20 to 30 seconds to take its full effect and for your muscles to adjust to that position. So make sure you are taking those several deep breaths and giving that stretch the time that it needs to do its job. We're going to start today just with a little bit of breath and by focusing on our posture. So a few points of focus to remember. When we take a breath in, we're lifting from the crown of the head and our heart space. You want to imagine as you breathe in, your spine stacking each individual piece all the way up to the top of your head. So your tailbone stacks nice and planted. We plant our feet on the floor and each vertebrae elongates all the way up through the crown of the head. As we breathe out, we want to imagine our shoulders coming back and down. So we're not losing that posture. We're not losing our elongated spine, but we're relaxing structures that might be feeling a little bit tense. Think about spaces in your jaw, in your temples, and even behind the eyes, releasing with that breath out. Then we're going to hit some nice, easy shoulder rolls. So we just relax these shoulders. We don't want to crane them up towards our ears and create a lot of undue tension here in the neck. We're just relaxed, making a nice, easy circle. These can be as small or as big as you'd like them to be. We do want to make sure we go backwards and then we come forwards as well. And this is a nice movement to warm up your shoulders and get them ready for a little bit more of a deeper stretch. Moving right along into a seated cat-cow. You can also do this motion on the floor. It's just going to focus on making the curves in our spine a little bit more intentional, a little bit more elaborate. So with a breath in, we're going to open our chest and our stomach forward. You're going to allow your head to come back with the natural curve of your spine. As you breathe out, you're going to allow that spine to curl backward, separating our shoulder blades and imagining almost the motion of putting on a backpack as we push back. We'll move just between these two positions, big breath in, opening space in the abdomen and space in the chest, and a breath out to open that spine backwards. Now we want to make sure that head just kind of naturally follows that curve of the spine and we're not straining anything. Nice, easy movement. Next, we'll hit a spinal twist. So since that spine has warmed just a little bit, we're going to continue along by planting one hand either on the seat right next to you or behind you, or you can also use that arm of the chair if your chair does have arms. We're going to reach that opposite arm across and take a big breath in to sit tall. And it's the most important thing in this motion to imagine sitting tall as opposed to just twisting as far as we can twist. I have a lot of motion here where I can twist around, but I really lose my posture when I focus on just trying to look over my shoulder. So big breath in to sit tall, shoulders come nice and low. If we don't have that arm, we can come to the outside of the thigh here. A few nice deep breaths, holding for that 20 to 30 second period of time, and then always making sure we come over and doing the opposite side as well, reaching across. Allowing those shoulders to release as we breathe out. Every time we breathe in, imagining that length coming into that spine. You can always go a little farther if it feels right. But again, we want to make sure we stay away from any sharp or shooting pains or anything that feels abnormal to us. When you're ready to come back to the center, take a nice deep breath out and relax that body. Next, we'll check out a side bend. So we want to make sure we are anchored in our seat and anchored through our feet into the floor, so we're not falling out of our chair. It's also very important to make sure that your chair is stable before you begin this motion. If you have a rolling chair, that's all right. Just make sure that you do ground those feet very firmly into the ground. We're going to plant one hand on the side of that seat, or we could always lean into the arm if we do have that armrest there. Taking a big breath in, reaching up and over. We're going to make sure our heart space stays open, almost imagining that we're looking up towards the sky or towards the ceiling. Big breath in to really expand the ribs, and a breath out to release them. If that's a little too much for us to reach up and over the head, we can always rest our hand on the side here. You're still going to get a fantastic stretch. We'll move over towards the opposite side. Big breath in, reaching up and over. Opening space in the ribs. Breath out to release. It's also important here that we don't let our sits bones, so the bones that are touching the chair as you sit down, we don't want to let those lift. Then we're kind of taking away from our stretch and we're more likely to fall out of that chair. So make sure both of those bones stay rooted. One more big breath in. Bigger breath out. And go ahead and release. Next, we're going to look at a chest opener as well as a little shoulder stretch. And there are a few different ways that we can do this. I have a little bit more mobility in my shoulders, so I have the ability to reach behind me and grab the sides of this chair. If that does not feel comfortable to you, you are more than welcome to grab the sides of your seat or hold on to the edges of those armrests if you do have them available to you. We're going to reach back or to our sides, just grabbing a nice easy hold back here. And a big breath in to open the chest forward, very similar to that cat-cow motion we did earlier. As we take a breath out, you can release that chest, but we want to maintain posture. So we're not sinking back like that cat-cow motion we did earlier. We're maintaining some openness in that chest, allowing the front of our pectorals to stretch and the front of our shoulder as well. Now, if we want to add to this motion and get a little bit more of a stretch in the front of our shoulders, we can add a forward bend. So we want to make sure that we aren't losing our balance. We're again staying rooted through our feet and staying rooted through the chair. We're not coming out of the chair as we come forward. So if you have the ability, we're either grabbing behind or you can clasp these fingertips together back behind you. We're simply going to lean forward. So we could absolutely do this with this armrest, these chair rests here. As we come forward, you have the opportunity to allow those hands to come up a little bit higher. If we have the ability to come all the way down towards the floor and we want to let them fall forward, you are more than welcome to. Take a couple seconds there, making sure you're breathing, and take that breath out as you come up to release any tension. All right, so eagle arms. This is typically known as a yoga pose. We're just going to do the upper portion of this pose with a little bit of a twist. And we do have some variations that are available to us. We're going to take our hands and our elbows are bent at 90 degrees here. We're going to cross one elbow over the other. If this is already uncomfortable, feel free to reach one arm across and simply pull it in here. If we're here and we decide, I just need a little bit more of a stretch, we can try to continue that twist as far as feels comfortable to us. But we don't have to have any massive twist to feel a good stretch here. You're going to take a big breath in, reaching these hands up towards the ceiling. And I'm trying not to let my shoulders come up with them. As I breathe out, I'm allowing these shoulders to come down, but continuing to reach up with my hands. And we should feel a pretty generous stretch up underneath our shoulder blade. Now we always want to make sure that we're doing both sides. So same thing, we find 90 degrees, we cross one elbow over the other, or we reach that arm across and gently pull in. Continue that twist if you would like. Big breath in to reach up, breath out to drop those shoulders. And this is a great stretch to do if we have been sitting a lot and we see our posture tending to droop forward. We get lots of tightness up underneath our shoulder blades, and it can be a really difficult place to stretch. Breath out to slowly unfurl and release. And if you need to add a few shoulder rolls here to kind of shake out some of that tension, feel free. So working down the body, we're going to look at a couple lower body stretches. So first is a seated figure 4. Now this position is generally done with one leg crossed over the other. For some folks, especially if you've had any sort of knee injury or knee surgery, this can be a little bit uncomfortable. You are more than welcome to take that bottom leg out a little bit further and cross over either above the knee or below the knee if that feels a little bit more comfortable to you. Hallmarks here, always wanting to sit nice and tall, opening the chest and allowing the shoulders to drop down and back. When we take a breath out and we come forward, we lead with our chest, not just our nose, not allowing that body to curl up, but staying nice and long. Always breathing, big breath in allows that spine to lengthen. Breath out allows that body to relax. So come forward as you feel comfortable. And as we give this stretch a couple seconds, you may start to see that your body is giving you a little bit more available stretch there. Maybe you have a little bit more space to go. But always listening, we can always back off if it's a little bit too much. Same thing on the other side, crossing over. Big breath in to sit nice and tall, allowing those shoulders to come back and down. We lead with our chest. Breath out to come forward. And as we're keeping this spine long, you can even imagine the length of your spine continuing out through the crown of your head and reaching almost on that 45-degree angle forward. Breath out, maybe we want to come a little bit further if that feels right to us. And when you're ready to come back up, take that nice easy breath in and uncross. All right. We're going to open up those hips just a little bit. Great if we have only been operating in this forward plane and we haven't been doing a lot of side to side motions. We're going to open up these feet just a little bit wider than our hips or the legs of our chair, depending on your comfort level. You can always come wider as you go. Big breath in to sit tall, to lengthen that spine. As we breathe out, we're just going to come forward. The spine can round here. That is okay. We're going to reach down towards our feet or the floor, or if that is too much, you can always lean your elbows here on those knees. The goal here is to open up our hips. So the wider those legs are, the more of a stretch you're going to feel. We still want to focus on trying to lead with our chest as much as possible, but your lower spine will curve here, and that's okay. Deep breaths always in through the nose, out through the mouth, nice and strong. Take those last few seconds in that stretch. And when you're ready to come up, we can use those legs for support and bring those feet back in nice and flat on the floor. All right, this hip flexor stretch can be done a variety of different ways. And if you have arms on your chair like I do here, it might be a little bit more difficult, but not impossible. So we are going to begin with both of our knees facing forward, and then all you're going to do is just twist your body to the side. Notice how my trailing leg here naturally kind of wants to come down and bend at that 90-degree angle. We're going to come to the edge of our seat, being very careful not to fall out of it. And at your comfort level, you're going to extend this back leg as far back as you can. Maybe for you, that's here. And this is a comfortable spot. That's fully all right. All we're going to do is square these hips to the side over this front leg. And we're gently going to lean forward, placing just a little bit of pressure through that back foot. You're going to start to feel a stretch through the front of the hip. If we're not feeling enough, you're going to lengthen that leg out just a little bit further and really imagine pressing that hip down towards the floor and forward. This is a great stretch, especially if we are sitting all day. We tend to sit in this flexed position, so this muscle doesn't really ever get a chance to stretch out, especially if we go straight from our office to the car to at home to sit on the couch. It doesn't have an opportunity to lengthen, so we need to give it that opportunity. To come back, we simply bend that knee. We twist it right back into the center, all right? And we can always use our chair for balance, or if we have a desk or a wall near us, that works great as well. We'll twist towards the other side, allowing this knee to bend at 90 degrees. Nice and tall, chest coming forward. We press gently through that hip, and if it's not enough here, we'll lengthen that leg out to where it feels comfortable. Gently pressing through that hip down towards the floor and forward, and keeping those shoulders back and down. Breathing. Big breath out, relax that tension. And when you're ready to come back into the center, we'll bend that trailing leg and simply twist. To finish, we always want to come back to our breath work and our alignment. We did such a great job with lengthening our spine today, especially with that breath work. So we want to close out in the exact same way that we started. So maybe closing those eyes, if that feels comfortable to you, you can lay your palms open in your lap or rest them on the arms of your chair or the tops of your thighs. Big breath in through the nose to lengthen that spine, to sit nice and tall. Bigger breath out to relax those shoulders. Perhaps we notice here that we are feeling a little bit taller, that we're feeling a little bit more length in our spine, which is a good thing. That's what we should feel. Exhale to release tension. And if there are any additional places that we are feeling any sort of pain, any sort of tension, anything that was not worked out with those full body stretches that we just performed, now is that opportunity to notice them and to maybe add a couple additional things into your practice today. Thank you for joining us for this seated stretch today. We hope you were able to work out any tension that might have crept up on you during your workday today, and that you got in just a little bit of movement. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.